DK Golfcat, presented by Bones Brothers Media.
I'm telling you, at one point in my lifetime, a good portion of my lifetime, this tournament was called the British Open. Throughout the 90s and into the early 2000s, at some point, they switched it up to the Open. Neither here nor there to me. I'm indifferent towards it. But I'm telling you, people are being chastised for calling it the British Open. Bones DK Golf. In your lifetime, it's probably always been known as the Open. But I'm telling you, it used to be called the British Open at one point. How you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing great, man. Coming off a really, really fun weekend. Had a golf trip with B. Covey. We're exchanging shots. We were gambling. It was an amazing time in West Virginia. And then we went to the Home Run Derby the other night, and that was just so much fun. So I have high energy right now. I'm feeling great. Ready to win some money on the British, aka the Open.
Shots is in like insults at one another or literal shots of whiskey and alcohol?
Shots, insults, shots, alcohol, and then golf shots as well. So just a lot of shots overall. In the weekend.
And you guys do know that I'm after the goal of 100 rounds. You and Covey know this, right? You know I'm at Golf Guy West Virginia, and I'm going after 100 rounds, right?
Yeah.
And so you guys decided not to invite me to a golf tournament in my own backyard. Can you explain the thought process there, please?
I was number 12. I wasn't even invited at first. I didn't know anybody except Covey. So, if there was a 13th, you would have been in. Plus, I didn't want you to kick our ass. I mean, I shot a 94. You're probably shooting 77s out there. So
okay, that's fair. At Royal St. George's, by the way, you have to have an 18.4 handicap index to even get on the course out here. And I don't believe either one of you would even qualify for that. TW Man 66 joining us from St. Petersburg. How are you this week, Wild Man?
Doing good. Want to shout out to our buddies across the pond, especially Finney. Tough loss for the lads there in the Euro Championship. Tough on my wallet as well because I was backing them. But, tough loss there. Back over to England. Here we go. Open Championship. And by the way, the British Open thinking that it can call itself the Open would be like Pizza Hut calling itself pizza.
Like,
who do you think you are?
Yeah, it's fair criticism. And it was a tough loss for the lads over there. I mean, the first 2 minutes of that soccer game was the most electrifying I've ever seen a stadium in my entire life when that guy scored a goal and the heartbreak they had to have. I mean, just the highest they had ever probably felt in their lives, many of those fans, to the absolute lowest they've ever felt in their lives. And as fantasy golf guys, we understand those swings quite well. But I do want to talk a little bit about the John Deere last week. We don't have to spend much time on it. We did have some good hits there. We did have some bad misses as well. But I want to talk about Golf Guy's hot streak right now. Last 4 weeks, guys, using your picks, I've profited $1,300, $667, $1,123, and then this week at the John Deere, $338.50. So again, your picks are red hot. You guys are feeling it this week with the Open. Bones DK, how are you feeling going into this week?
This is one of my favorite tournaments, and this is where we eat is majors. That was kind of just a bonus round last week. It was really difficult, man. I mean, you're paying $10,000 for Cam Davis and Brian Harmon and Aaron Wise. It's just a really tough week. So don't beat yourself up last week if you lost. This is where we eat, and I can't wait for this tournament. I'm very, very excited.
Yeah, and the Bones DK family, TW Man 66, treated the U.S. Open, which was our last major, like an Open, man. Like a major championship on the fantasy side. We went after it. We made some big bets. We really did our homework. Are you feeling good vibes this week going into this major?
Yeah, we're feeling great vibes. Most importantly, because this is not just one of the most important tournaments on the calendar, but it's the most opportunistic as far as Draftkings goes, because you get opportunities to win $1 million, several. So, like Rob said, majors are where we do it. Majors are where the cream rises to the top, and you kind of get away from those nuances like the John Deere and these weird tournaments where the fields are, not as strong as they could be and the pricing's out of whack. This is where we feel good. We're going to do what we've been doing. It's been successful. We're going to target a specific type of guy and and we feel pretty damn good right now.
Once again, you can follow me at Golf Guy WV, and I'm just looking at myself in the Zoom camera right now. You can tell I've played 55 and a half rounds of golf this year, can't you guys? Look at that sunglass tan I've got going right now. I don't look at myself very often in the mirror. And many of you that are looking at me now know why. But geez, that's a pretty severe sunglasses tan I've got going on right now. They may need the sunglasses out in the British Open. They may not, Wild Man, because sometimes it's overcast. The weather can always be a problem for the golfers out there. Royal St. George's, rough is long out there. It's a links course like most Open championships are. You're going to have really large greens. As Brooks Koepka said earlier this week, you're going to, have shots from 50 and 60 yards away that you can use 5 or 6 different clubs for. So what can you tell us about the course? What can you tell us about the weather conditions also? I understand wind, which it usually is going to be a problem this week at the Open.
Yeah, so the course, par 70, only 2 par 5s out here. It's right on Sandwich Bay there in Sandwich, Kent. And so it's traditionally windy. It's going to be windy here this weekend, but probably not as much as it usually is. But you're going to have a lot of pot bunkers here that are deep bunkers that if you go into, it could be trouble. Not too hard to avoid them necessarily, but you have to be accurate on the fairway, down the fairway, because like you said, there is long rough, but it's not link style in the sense that you can't hit into other fairways because there's such fescue in between. So if you get errant, you can make some big numbers. So we're going to try to target guys that are hitting it low and straight. A lot of undulations around the greens. And as you pointed out, Koepka said that thing about having 5 or 6 clubs in hand from 50 yards out. That's because of the undulations. So you're going to be able to hit a sand wedge and a putter from 50 yards out and try to get it close. It's just going to be you're going to have to be crafty around the greens and make those 7-8 footers, whether they're for birdie or par. It should be pointed out that in the last 2 playings of this, in this century at Royal St. George's, a total of 5 players have broken par here. So it is not going to be a birdie fest. It's going to be a grinder out here. And so we're going to target guys that again, do all those things well. And I want to point out one other thing. Conditions weather-wise are going to be pristine as it pertains to an Open Championship, like temperatures, sunshine in the 70s in the afternoon. I do think that there's going to be a slight wind advantage to the afternoon players in round 1, but that's the only thing that looks a little out of the ordinary right now. And then finally, every player goes off the first tee in this event. So there's not a morning and an afternoon wave going off both tees. That's a little different too, so keep an eye on that.
A lot to digest there, Bones DK. So, driving accuracy seems like it's going to be really important. The rough in some spots, marshals are having problems even finding the golf ball when they see it land. So driving accuracy, do we want bombers, and where are we looking at statistically for the strokes gained this week?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I think bombers even have an advantage this week. If they're hitting it in the rough and they're, 300 yards past everyone, it's not that big of an advantage. You need to be in the fairway here. So I'm looking at guys that can just chip the ball forward. Bogey avoidance is huge. I'm not really looking at birdie makers. I mean, obviously you want to make birdies, you're going to have to make them. But, bogey avoidance, driving accuracy around the green to save yourself if you're not having good irons. But, mainly around those stats.
What about putting when you consider that guys are going to be putting off the green and some guys are going to have putts that could be over, 100 feet? Where does putting rank here, man?
That's where you're going to win this tournament, honestly. And that's why I'll get into this later, but that's why I like a guy like Jordan Spieth, honestly, this week. You need guys that are going to be confident over the ball on the green because you're going to be hacking around, but you can save a lot of pars and a lot of bogeys if you make a couple long putts.
All right, well, let's talk about some of these guys at the top. Major champions at the top. Jon Rahm, Rory McIlroy, Brooks Koepka, Dustin Johnson. Rahm going for 11-3, McIlroy at 10-9, Koepka at 10-7, Johnson at 10-4. I mean, Koepka loves majors. He is, you would think, seemingly guaranteed to make it through. Jon Rahm is red-hot fire. Rory McIlroy playing on his home turf, if you will, over in Europe. Dustin Johnson, who's always a threat. Do you have to have one of these guys in your lineup, Bones DK, to make a run at the big one this week?
This is an interesting tournament because you just get some really, really good players at a cheap price. So, I'm leaning a balanced build right now. You saw before the $1 million lineup, even in the $20 contest, did not have John Rahm when he won the other day. So, these are good players, but man, you go down, you get like Morikawa, JT, Spieth, Bryson under 10K. There's a lot you can do there with those guys. So, not only do these top four guys need to win, you need to find the cheap guys then if you put them in. So I've been leaning balanced build almost the last 6-7 weeks, and it's been working out for me. So I'm probably gonna stick to that. I mean, you look at Brooks here. I say that out loud. Then you look at Brooks' last four results: second cut, fourth, fifth, two top fives in the majors. Yikes! But hey, is a second and a fourth good enough if you're paying $10,700? I don't know. I think Morikawa easily could do that. Ustays and JT, you just got to look around there. So I'm going to lead balanced build. You probably won't see these top four guys in my lineup this week.
I don't doubt anything that Bones DK is saying there, wild man. But one of these four guys is going to win. No,
I think betting odds wise, sure. I mean, look, you could argue any one of these four guys is the biggest threat to win the tournament. To me, Koepka's sort of the outlier. And the reason I say that is because he's not, when you watch, despite the four majors, right? When you watch him, he doesn't like explode off of a golf course like Rahm and McIlroy and DJ can, where, DJ has that run where he goes birdie, birdie, eagle, for example, and contends everywhere they play, Having said that, it is a major, but as I said earlier in the podcast, you're looking at probably 5 under winning the tournament. You might be looking at like 2 or 3 under winning the tournament. The last 2 times it's played here, it's been Darren Clark and Ben Curtis, who were both extraordinary long shots, pardon me, going into the event. And even last year when Lowry won it, of course, it was at a different location, but he was coming in off 4 consecutive missed cuts in this event. So to me, this is the major that really, really is going to rely on what you have in your guts and what you have in your short game. I think anybody can win it up here at the top.
Okay, good stuff there, man. Next tier, Xander Schauffele, DeChambeau at 9,900. Spieth, who a lot of people like this week. You got to think, even though you like Spieth, Bones DK, and we can't wait to hear the analysis on him, he's going to have high ownership, man. I've been seeing on Twitter, perhaps in some contests, as high as 35%. Justin Thomas is always an interesting pick at the majors. Louis Oosthuizen is something like 12 shots away from having 7 majors. He's finished it runner-up dozens of times. He's almost guaranteed to get through into the final 64. If we're looking for a 6-for-6 lineup, then Morikawa, you're right, value-wise, Bones DK, at 9,200. That's as cheap as you will ever get Colin Morikawa in a huge tournament like this. Hovland, who everybody likes so much, he's in Europe as well. He seems to thrive there, 9,100. And then Tyrrell Hatton at 9,000. Just a really interesting tier of players here, Bones DK.
Yeah, this is my favorite tier. And just real quick, not to back it up, after doing a little more research on Brooks Koepka, this guy has a serious chance to win this tournament. He has really good history at the Opens, and his stats are really showing. So I'm gonna look more into Brooks. If I'm gonna play somebody, it'll be Brooks. I'll just put it there. I'm not saying I'm going to, but yeah, then you go down in this range, and you get a lot of these guys. When is Morikawa gonna get the respect? I get it. He's a rookie here, okay, and that's maybe what people are scared of. But 9,200 for Colin Morikawa, give me a break. I look at. He has 4 top 10s in his last 5 tournaments, and his worst finish is 14th in that range. Look at these irons right here. You're not going to see better irons on the tour than right here. He's driving it right down the middle. I say he struggles around the green. All of a sudden, he can play around the green, and he's getting a second and a fourth at the U.S. Open. So, give me a break on Colin Morikawa. I'm going to play him somewhere in this range. Starting Spieth Morikawa seems unfair. I think both those guys could be in the $10,000 range in any other tournament. I know it's a major, and you just got to price these other guys up. but you could get away with Spieth Morikawa being 10K in another tournament. So see that as value right there.
Yeah, we love value on this podcast also, Wild Man. So where are you figuring into that $9,000 tier, and are you kind of piggybacking what Bones DK feels about Morikawa and Spieth?
I think there's a great argument for Morikawa. We make it every week. I mean, would you even bat an eye if he was above Xander at 10,200, right below those big four that we talked about? And by the way, Rob, you just made a comment about Koepka. Here, I'll raise you one with DJ. Made double bogey here in 2011 on the back nine to still finish runner-up. And also the last time he had betting odds as long as 20-1 or higher, he shot 30 under par and won by 11 shots last year. So think about DJ too. The 9K range though, yeah, Morikawa for sure. If you believe in irons this week and you believe in tee to green, fire him up. Thomas is not a guy I like in any kind of windy conditions. And Uzi, despite, I mean, you guys know I'm an Uzi guy, right? I talk about how many majors he could have every time we're on this freaking thing. But besides that 2010 Open at St. Andrews where he ran away, this is the one major that he's sort of been bugabooed in if you want to pick one. So I think Louis is going to be highly owned. And he's just, I don't know if I can say this, but I'm going to say it. I'm going to pass on Uzi pretty much everywhere this week. And I'll probably be looking at Morikawa there.
Yeah, I mean, I also want to avoid high ownership rates, and I do believe that Spieth is going to be highly owned, and I do believe that Oosthuizen is going to be very highly owned as well. We get into that next tier of guys, and again, you talk about good golfers at like reasonable rates, like maybe the most reasonable they've been all season long. Cantlay, who's a winner on tour this year, 8,900. Patrick Reed, who's a major winner and is hungry as hell, I think, for another major championship in any capacity whatsoever. It could be this one here. You got Casey, who's playing on his home soil, 8,600. I don't know about Big Z. He seems to be fading off a little bit, but, you know, hey, he's got major success. He does. 8,500. Finau, 8,400. I'm interested to get your take there. Webb Simpson at 8,300. And then our boy, man, Scotty Scheffler, 8,200. Adam Scott, 8,100. I mean, geez, I feel like I've said it for the first two tiers, but I'll say it again. This thing is loaded, man. And even though I think one of those top four guys has the best chance to win, there are a lot of guys in this tier, Bones DK, that could win this golf tournament and certainly help your lineup if they're helping you get 6 for 6 through, right?
Yeah, the guy that sticks out right away, I don't know if this is everybody that thinks this, is Patrick Reed to me. I mean, come on, $8,800. That is tough to pass up, and he has good history here. I don't think he has better than a 10th place, but he has a 10th, a 12th, and honestly, his stats are there. He's doing great off the tee. I like his irons, and he's just a straight-up grinder. I mean, again, in these majors, you got to find the value. Last week, you had Brian Harman at 10,400, Cam Davis at 10,000. There's no value anywhere in that tournament. It's almost impossible to find. But in these majors, you can really dig deep, and you're like, man, 8,800 for Patrick Reed. I don't want to pay for him to win the tournament, but at 8,800 as maybe your third guy in, you need him to finish the top 10th place, 12th place. That's good enough, you know, and especially your third guy in. I mean, Patrick Reed, fire up the Jets.
I'd take a shot on Patrick Reed in any tournament under the sunshine at $8,800. And as Bones DK is saying, especially if he's your third man in, but there's a lot of guys in this tier, Wild Man, that could be your third and fourth guy in here. Finau, for example, I think he may be highly owned, and this may not be the breakthrough win that he's going to get, but he always seems to have success. Can he, again, be one of those guys that's going to help you get 6 for 6 through to help you win the big one this week and get that mega profit?
Yeah, I mean, I think both of those guys, Zalatoris and Finau, at that mid 8,000 range are going to be very, very low owned. You know, like we just talked about Reed being underpriced. Talk about overpriced, right? I mean, you got Zalatoris ahead of Webb Simpson, Adam Scott, Justin Rose, Shane Lowry, Sergio, Mark Leishman. You know, these are guys that have won majors, won on the tour, been in major playoffs. If you're looking for a spot to get a guy that's like 2 or 3% owned, you could play Zalatoris. For me, it's probably a no there. I think Finau and Webb Simpson are interesting plays because they have great history at the Open, but they're not coming in very good form. Would it surprise me to see those guys at the top? No, and I think they're at a price tag that can validate a risk on them. Not a risk we're going to be taking for big money, but certainly a risk you can take for some of the smaller events like the Millie Makers for $10, $15, $25, that kind of thing. One thing I want to say about Reed, and it's going to validate all three of us, is we say all the time that we want him in conditions where sub 10 under par is going to win the tournament. And you're going to need him standing over those 6-8 footers and doing that like little pluck out of the hole with his two fingers there just to ruse everybody. This is it, man. This is it. I mean, I'm not saying he's going to win it. Top 10, I'll guarantee you Reed is in the top 10 this week. And he's gonna play well in these conditions.
I will also say that, he makes a lot of birdies too, man. And again, this isn't going to be a birdie fest out here, but, he's probably going to be in the top 10 at the end of the week in most birdies made, you would think. He makes a lot of bogeys too because he's an aggressive player. But I got to ask you, though, also, Bones, real quick, Scotty Scheffler. We love this guy. And again, this may not be the spot where he gets his first win, but is Scheffler a guy who at $8,200, is he a guy that's going to be top 64 and get you through?
Scotty Scheffler, this guy makes me lose so much sleep at night. I just don't know when to play him. In my opinion, you just fire him up at every major. A 7th at the U.S. Open, 8th at the PGA. He shows up in big tournaments. A 4th at the PGA last year. I mean, those are three top 10s right there that we got out of Scotty Scheffler. And let me go over to DraftKings real quick. You're talking about Patrick Reed getting a lot of birdies. Look at Scotty Scheffler's birdie makes here. 19, 16, 17, 23. Not too many bogeys either. Pretty good at avoiding double bogeys. He is the guy I'm going to really think about this week. He will be on my top plays. Scotty Scheffler's always on my top plays. You already know it. But yeah, I just got to figure out how I'm going to build my lineup this week. If I can fit him in, I'm definitely going to play him. Unfortunately, I keep landing at like 7,800 to 7,600 on my final play. So I just can't afford him. But, we got a lot of time left to build lineups, and I can do a little more tinkering to get him in.
One thing should be mentioned. Last week in one of the big contests, I saw this on Rick Rungood, that the optimal lineup in one of those contests last week did hit the $50,000 mark exactly. Just something to think about. Real quick, before we move on to the $7,000 tier also, Wild Man, Adam Scott at $8,100. He has success in Europe. He's a past major champion. Boy, is he a good play here or not?
He's coming in some decent form, and he made the cut at the U.S. Open. That's 3 in a row for him. Made the cut at the Masters as well. Just not a guy that I am buying anymore. In his prime, I think he was right there. In fact, if you go back and look at his history in majors, the decade prior to this one, I mean, it's like top 10s everywhere. But he's a guy I'm not really buying, and I'm going to piggyback Scheffler too. The list of pros for Scotty's this long. And the list of cons is this long, and the only item on the list of cons is that he's a rookie. I mean, you want to keep denying the guy everywhere he's showing up. So it's Scotty there in that spot. Again, Adam Scott, who's also goes by Scotty. I guess I should clarify that. Scotty, is probably a good pivot in some ownership.
How about this tier? We like home cooking on this broadcast. We like guys hometown. May not all be from the hometown, but we have some European past winners here in Justin Rose, Tommy Fleetwood, Lowry, and Fitzpatrick. Talk about value, man. $8,000 for Rose, $8,000 for Fleetwood. The defending champion, for crying out loud. $7,900. Fitzpatrick, $7,900. Again, balanced build. You're talking about Bones DK. These guys have to fit in the balanced build, no?
Yeah, I mean, I was all in at Shane Lowry from the very beginning, but then you do look at his history, and they are changing courses here. The Open does change the course every year for 10 years or something like that. But you do see guys popping up on these course histories, like just guys that show up at the Open. And I keep wanting to say the U.S. Open. I don't like the Open name. I got to say it.
Call it the British Open. You won't be chastised on this.
Call it the British.
I don't care. Yeah.
But that is a little scary, seeing that he has 4 missed cuts in a row and then a win. Like, he doesn't have amazing history. It was kind of like a random. Where was that tournament? It was in Ireland when he won it, wasn't it? It was somewhere like a home course. So if he's going to be super chalk, I am a little worried about it. Look at his driver here. I mean, he's not that great off the tee. He had 2 good weeks off the tee where he did come in 6th and 4th, but when he's not hitting it off the tee well, 65th, 21st. So if you're going to give this guy like 25% owned because everyone wants to play him, I don't know if I'm going to get there actually this week. And I do like to be heavy on a guy early in the week, and then I look into it and find a reason why not to play him. Kind of like Louis Oosthuizen. I was like, Louis and Lowry. Now I'm like, I don't know if they're going to make my lineups because I'm digging a little deeper, and that does scare me a little bit. 1 win, 4 missed cuts. That's not that great of odds.
We want low ownership for the sweats on Sunday also. That's just how it's going to go if you want the win. You need those guys that the other guys don't have, so you can climb that ladder on Saturday and Sunday. What about Rosie here, wild man? $8,000. He's a past U.S. Open champion. Would love to get an Open championship under his belt. He's been close a couple times. Any interest in Rose?
No, I'm going to pass on Rose. I mean, I think you could see him near the top early on, but I would expect him to wilt like a Rose without water. And just a guy that I think his prime has passed him, and he's more focused on how many sponsorships he can fit on his collar and his hat and, commercials and all that. So, no, not a guy for me. And then, I'll just add one thing to Lowry, I guess. He's probably appropriately priced as far as where he fits, like down there in like the mid-teens to 20th highest price. Because, again, despite that win, he's not a guy that is on the top of every leaderboard. However, the tougher the course, much like Patrick Reed, the more I lean towards Lowry. He had a good finish at Oakmont outside of Pittsburgh as well a few years ago at the U.S. Open that demanded a score of 4 or 5 under to contend. So I think he's worth a look, but again, like you guys said, higher ownership. I don't know. I'll throw one name out at you. You're all gonna laugh. He's finished in the top 10 in the last 2 playings here at Royal St. George's. You know him. His name is Sergio.
Hey, man, I'm not going to – you won't find a bigger Sergio fan than me, who, by the way, also does a lot of endorsements. And if you want to talk about – like Justin Rose, the evolution of Justin Rose, he's not only a walking billboard, he's become like a trained actor. He's done so many commercials. You know what I mean? He's like – I'm not saying he deserves an Academy Award, but he's as good as some of the actors I see in major motion pictures. He pulls it off just about as good as anybody. The $7,000 tier, Bones DK, just has – it's loaded also, man. I mean, I could go over the names here, but there's about 25 guys in this tier. One guy in particular, actually 2 guys, and I think Wildman has absolutely has an opinion on this guy, but one guy in particular, Harris English at 7,300, and then Brendan Grace at 7,200, I think are pretty interesting plays. And Wildman, I think off the air earlier this week, you said you liked Grace a lot. So let's start with you, Wildman. Why did you like Grace? And then Bones DK, I want your opinion on Harris English.
Yeah, I mentioned this earlier on in the podcast, I think, as well. We're targeting a specific type of player. At this course, where there's a lot of undulation, you have to hit it straight, you have to hit it low to keep it out of the wind in a lot of places and kind of get that run out, especially if you're clubbing down. We like low ball flight hitters. Grace checks all those boxes. He's contended in majors before. He finished runner-up to Spieth and DJ at Chambers Bay a few years ago when he was like in the top 10. Actually, I just mentioned Oakmont. I think he was in the running there too. Tied for 6th here last year. And he was on all the winning lineups last year. As a matter of fact, my college roommate scooped them all last year at the 2019 Open, D-Lo 911. And he was led by Grace in that event too. So just feels like it's a good time for him. Not to get too off topic, but he lost his father due to COVID earlier this year and has talked about how that's inspired him to focus on what matters and focus on playing better. And the results seem to be coming. So he's a guy at 7,200 Played well. I think had a Sunday 67 at the U.S. Open at Torrey a few weeks ago. Do not be surprised to see him up at the top. He'll probably be pretty high owned, but this 7,200 range, 71 to like 74, man, is it's loaded. I mean, this is where you're going to win or lose money this week.
How highly owned do you think Harris English is going to be? Because he seems to check a lot of people's boxes. By the way, checking a lot of the boxes is the new like fantasy golf term. You know, everybody says it. It's not just you guys either. Every guy I watch
See all the boxes
is like, yeah, you know, he checked a lot of boxes for me last week. He's checking a lot of boxes for me this week. So does Harris English check the boxes for you, Bones DK?
I don't see how he doesn't. Third at the U.S. Open, coming off the win. Can he sustain it? I think he can. He's doing pretty good off the tee. His irons are there. The guy can save himself anywhere around the green, and he's great at putting. And that's somebody I want this week, is that can step over the ball and make putts. This is not random, these stats right here. That is good putting. This is not random. They're good around the green. So if you get some good irons mixed in with around the green and putting and good off the tee, the dude he's just the most clutch player. I love the guy too, so I'm a little biased, but he's won me a lot of money. He's so confident, and he seems like he's ready to win. Let's go back-to-back wins for this guy. So 7,100, is that what you said he was? I mean,
73.
73. I do like it. You got a guy down here like Alex Noren, who has the best history that you would ever imagine out of a guy here. I mean, geez, I was looking at him. He has like 4 top 10s at the Open. Coming off a miscut, which might scare people, but had a 4th place. But look, 9 birdies and an eagle there. A couple bogeys there, but good at double bogey avoidance. I wanted to show you, Shane Lowry has almost like 1 to 2 to 3 double bogeys a tournament. You don't want that this week. Look at Alex Noren. This is bogey avoidance right here. 7, 2, 9, 0 double bogeys. You got to look at those stats here. Coming off 9 birdies and an eagle. Probably missed the cut on the number, honestly. It was such a weird number. So if he would have made the cut, he had a chance to make a run that week. So that's somebody I'm really looking at this week, is Alex Noren. He's a weird guy, because if you look at his stats, you know, he's like not a stat guy, and that's kind of why I like him a little more this week. You know, if you look back when he made those top 10 finishes, see what I mean? Like, his irons aren't amazing, but he's great off the tee. It's weird that he's a scary play, but you got to look at this guy's history here, man. It's amazing, and I don't mind his form, honestly.
Anybody else out of that $7,000 tier, wild man, you want to mention?
Yeah, I mean, I just described Grace's game. There's a guy who fits almost the exact same form, and you could argue is, in his prime, one of the top couple putters on the planet. He wears orange on Sundays. You ever heard of him? Ricky Fowler. Look out, man. Finished 6th here recently, and was in this event in 2011, as far as I know. So, you know, a guy who seems to be, you know, I said something about him a couple weeks ago where, like, is this dude just like drinking Coronas and hanging out with naked chicks all the time?
Mm-hmm.
Or does
Actually, I said that's what he started to do. He stopped caring about golf and just got on a boat and started hanging out with hot chicks.
Okay.
But yeah, he did kind of fade away, but yes, he has some really good momentum going into this tournament. Wild man, I want to get your flyer of the week here in just 1 second, but Bones DK, is there anybody else in that $7,000 range, or anybody even without stealing Wild man's flyer of the week, anybody else that you're interested in? Because at 6,900, a guy that seems to be getting a lot of play on Twitter right now. Let me see here if I can find him. Kevin Kisner. Kevin Kisner.
That was who I was going to bring up, and I don't think that's the flyer. But, man, Kevin Kisner, $6,900. He has a top 2 runner-up here at the Open in, like, 2016 or something. And, coming off a 5th and an 8th place. His drive is okay. Good irons, good around the green. Look how good he can putt, man, like you said. Yeah, that's the type of guy, like, what I was trying to use an example of is, like, not a bomber, right? If he can just chip it out there, get to the next hole, chip it on, hit his putt, and move on, that's all you need this week. If you get, like, a Bryson out there just, like, slamming drives and it's, like, flying all the way right, he's screwed. But if Kevin Kisner just chip it out there, move forward, not penalize, I love Kevin Kisner, especially at 6,900. He's actually a guy that could top 10 this tournament legitimately. So that's why I really like Kevin Kisner. I think he's found his form, obviously. So
I mean, look, I love the guy too, and the analysis you're giving is spot on. I agree with a lot of what you're saying. You hit the nail right on the head. But isn't he going to be super high owned this week as well? I mean, every guy on Twitter that we follow, and I follow a couple hundred guys on Twitter, I do, but they all love Kevin Kisner. So isn't everybody else going to love Kisner as well?
if you are still listening to this podcast, I'll give you a little free little projection here real quick. Let's find that out, Edge, because I haven't looked lately. So this is going to be a quick. I don't want to give away too much.
While he's looking it up, by the way, if you believe in the guy, forget the percentage. If you really, really think that the boxes check for him, then fire him up, man. I mean,
It looks like Grace is actually getting the most love, and Harris English. So that is a little tips there for you guys. Harris English and Grace are getting. I'm not worried about Kisner. No, I don't care about his ownership.
Okay, Wildman, flyer of the week. Who you got?
All right, this is a little bit of a cheat here because his form is the best it's been in 10 years. But at the U.S. Open, we came down to an argument between three guys, and it was Grace, Higo, and Streelman. And we went Higo, and it cost us a stack. The reason I bring it up is because Streelman was the 08 leader after the first round at Torrey Pines in the last U.S. Open playing at the same course. Had we known that and really put merit into that, we probably would have landed on Streelman that would have filled up some duffel bags. This year, this week, it's the exact same thing. This guy was in the final pairing after 36 holes in 2011 at Royal St. George's, and he just won last week for the first time in a decade. $6,600. Lucas Glover, T20 at the Open in 2019 at the last playing at Portrush. So, is there a narrative there? I don't know, but it's to me, it's like the exact same scenario as Streelman at the U.S. Open a few weeks ago.
Yeah, that's excellent stuff there. And you got to love Glover. He has been a good fantasy golf player for the better part of this year. The win hangover, that's the only thing I would worry about. He just won last week. Huge week for him. A lot of whirlwind. And now having to get on a plane and fly across the Atlantic and kind of get into like a different just feel environment. Is he up to the challenge? If anybody is, it's probably Lucas Glover. But that's a good pick there, Wild Man. Bones DK, when can we expect your picks on Twitter? Are we going to get them this week?
Yeah, I'm getting a little feedback with my, posting him a little late or kind of forgetting about him. I just want to apologize. I've been a little busy. I was partying hard this week with Covey. So I'll get those picks. I'll get those picks up for you guys this week when it matters. What?
Been a little busy. He starts the show off, Wild Man, with, hey, I just played 36 holes with Covey and then flew to Denver and went to the Home Run Derby. But I've been a little busy, guys. Sorry.
I can't do much research. I'll get the picks out for you guys early this week.
I got a video from left field or right field at the Home Run Derby. And all I could hear is Rob going, yeah. Come on, yeah. I talked to him the next morning. I go, man, you get lit up last night. He goes, no, I didn't drink too much.
I mean, look, it looked electrifying, man, on television. That's I'm not a huge baseball fan, but that is good television, the Home Run Derby and what they got going on there. Some of the best television of the year is the British Open because it's on so early in the morning, man. Brooks Koepka, for example, tees off Thursday morning, which is tonight, if you will, at 3:03 in the morning. And they will have coverage then all the way through about 1 o'clock in the afternoon because England is 5 hours in front of us. So I think you even said, Steve, that they've got golfers going off in England at 4 o'clock.
Yeah, 4:14. There's like 10
which
hours
means
in between tee times.
Yeah, which means we're going to get golf up until about 4 o'clock then here in the US of A. The coverage usually sucks on Thursday and Friday, but Saturday and Sunday it'll be awesome. You can wake up, have eggs and bacon and watch the major championship golf. Make sure you get your picks in tonight, Bones DK. They've got to be in before 12 o'clock midnight tonight because of that early start. Any final thoughts, Royal St. George's, this weekend, the Open Championship, Bones DK?
Yeah, it starts at 11:45 Mountain Time tonight, so it starts today here. I'll be awake for the whole thing, and I'm not going to be able to sleep. So just good luck to everyone. I hope you win. I hope my picks are on. I hope Wildman's picks are on. I want everyone to win this week, as always. Let's bring home a few W's this week.
Definitely are hoping for a sweat Saturday and Sunday, Wild Man, because Golf Girl WV, my wife's going out of town for a baby shower, and she's taking the daughter with her. So I got the open house this weekend. Should really enjoy Sunday morning watching the final. Yeah, the final. Yeah, you look shocked there. It's going to be phenomenal. Really going to enjoy that final round, that Saturday and Sunday round. Any final thoughts about Royal St. George's in the Open, Wild Man?
Well, we already said we like Reed in the top 10, right? Let's get Scotty Scheffler in the top 5. And I'm also going to call Daniel Berger most valuable guy in the field in a lot of places. Misses the cut.
Yeah, Berger is going to be very highly owned also. And that little graphic that Bones threw up a minute ago, I don't want to give too much away, but Berger was highly owned as well if you knew how to read that chart.
Let's throw this one down too real quick. Let's get Ricky Fowler holding the jug. How about it?
Winning it.
Why not?
Zero chance.
Evens get exercised at this event, guys. I'm telling you.
Remember, I'm just the host here, and I think Ricky has a lot of momentum coming in, but he's got almost no chance to win. I think he's got very little chance to make the cut, quite honestly, too. I think there's going to be a big letdown for Ricky.
Is that a bet right there? Let's get a made cut bet.
Yeah, I will.
$20?
I'll bet on it. I'll bet you on it. Whatever you want. I will not bet against the Phoenix Suns, though, which is what Wildman's wearing right now. I think they take it 4-2 or 4-1. But that's a different podcast. For TW Man 66, Bones DK Golf, we appreciate you guys so much for listening. Good luck. We hope you win stacks at Royal St. George's in the British Open this weekend.
Good luck.